Hey guys, Chris from Black Flag Barbell Club here. We're going to talk today about whether or not you should hype up really hard for training, for max sets, for 1 rep maxes, anything and everything. So you kind of have a really big variety of how people mentally get prepared to train, to lift really heavy, to compete. So everything works for someone. We try and teach our lifters that you shouldn't need to be really amped up to get through training. You can hype up for the heavy stuff, so if you're hitting some singles, if you're testing a max, then we're okay with people getting fired up, but you still have to keep it controlled. You have to rein it in. We have a lot of experience, seeing people at meets, seeing people we train, blah blah blah, get too far onto the amped up spectrum, too aroused, to use the psychological term, and it just causes you to make mistakes. You rush the lift, you don't do your regular setup, everything's just a mishmash, because you're so fired up here, you can't keep track of everything you need to do. So with training, if you need to constantly excite yourself, fucking crank the music, get slapped, all that kind of stuff, just to get through a training session, then the intensity is probably way too high. Training is training, it's not testing. You should be building strength rather than testing it every time you come into the gym. We want to be able to have a repeatable technique, so we want to keep people on the edge depending on what we're doing, but we want to have an intensity high enough that it's a challenge to some degree. So you've got to focus on your cues, your bracing, keeping tight, knees out, chest up, whatever the cue is, but you don't want it to be so much so that they've got to be sniffing ammonia and getting slapped around just to get through training, because if that's how you're training, you're probably going to burn out pretty quick. Like, your body won't be able to sustain that for a really long period of time. Now, if you're doing a test, so if we're in a sort of a mid-program to three-quarter program, we're doing openers or something like that, we'll let people get fired up, but again, it should be controlled, shouldn't need to grab the ammonia, shouldn't be slapping around, should be a focused intensity. Same reason, we don't want to make mistakes, we want to keep everything nice and consistent, repeatable. If we're doing openers and then backing off to do 6 singles just under what we did, again, repeatable practice, that's what we're going for, because it's training. We are training the behaviours that we want to do and repeat when we get under the bar on the platform on the day that actually counts. So if you're getting super fired up and every rep is a little bit different because you've come into it 120%, then you don't know what's going to happen on the day. You could hit it really easy, you could bomb out, you could have your hips shoot out from under you, you could have your knees collapse. You don't fucking know because you haven't trained it repeatedly. Now, on competition day, it's usually best to do what you have practiced and trained. So you might have guessed, focused intensity, get fired up, but keep it controlled, keep your focus there. Now, having said that, a lot of people get a lot of kilos out of just going berserk. Screamer Manuel is a fucking badass who just absolutely goes insane on the platform, in the gym, when he's doing the heavy stuff. And he's able to get to that level, but control it, for the most part. He's come a long way mentally from what I've seen, in terms of when he used to maybe go 4 for 9. Now he's hitting much more consistent numbers in competition, and it's paying off for him. So bringing that mental state, getting to that point, and then just cinching it back a little so that you've got that control, so that you're still up here as well as there, really helps. I know this is a bit of a subjective thing. Now, conversely, we had a mock meet 3 or 4 weeks ago, where one of our lifters, all the signs were there that he should have been able to hit a 140 bench press. He got the 135, it was a bit tougher than we thought it would be, and he came out for the 140 completely differently. He changed the song and cranked it up. He was sort of brooding around back here, getting his head down, thinking about stomping on avocados, whatever it was. And when he came out, he was very quick on the setup. He didn't do the same setup. He was sort of an angry, quick, get it in, blah, blah, blah. And he ended up missing the lift. He got it maybe a third of the way up the chest, and he just didn't have the position or the puff or the steam to keep finishing through. Now, if you ask me, he probably missed that lift purely because he went to that different place where he wasn't used to being. His training wasn't like that at all. We had discussed with him, keeping control, keeping calm, rather than going 110% every session. He obviously felt that he needed to try and get there to get the weight. Didn't pan out. So next cycle, we'll work on that. Conversely, another person in that mock meet did the same weight, the 140, but came into it controlled, held the position, and it was a big grind, but he got the weight. That was probably a 7-8 second lift, and he got the weight. So it's not to say that getting super amped up won't work, but it's a lot more likely that you're going to be good at what you've practiced. So if you keep that focused intensity, you still get to amp yourself up, but you keep the control, you keep the consistency, you know what you're doing, you're mentally present, and you can hit the lift with a greater percent of success, greater chance. So hopefully this was somewhat helpful. If you have any questions, I know it's a bit of a weird topic. If you have any questions, or if you disagree, if you are one of those people or coaches who has a lot of success with just getting super amped up, and you have some comments regarding controlling it or best utilizing it, please hit us up, have a discussion. Would love to know your thoughts. Have a good one, guys.